It was a warm June evening when I stood at the end of the gravel driveway, suitcase in hand, heart thudding in my chest. Fireflies danced around me like fragile embers, whispering of old summer memories. The porch light flickered on, like it always did when someone came home. But this time the door didn't open with my mother's soft voice calling, "Ellie, you're back." Instead, it slammed shut again and then opened slowly with a creak that somehow echoed more painfully than a scream. My father stood in the doorway. His face was the same, weathered, lined from years of work and worry. But his eyes were cold. "Don't have a daughter anymore," he said, voice flat. "Go away." And just like that, the air left my lungs. 3 years ago, I walked out of this house with a backpack and a truth I couldn't hide anymore. "I'm Ellie," I'd told them through shaking lips. "Not Eli." I still remember the silence, at that dinner table. The way Mom dropped her fork. The way Dad stared through me like I was a ghost in a body he didn't recognize. They asked me to leave that night. I told them I would. After years of hiding, of shaving my truth to fit their mold, I didn't want to stay where I wasn't seen. But even still, I always hoped they'd come around. I hadn't spoken to them since. But last week, I received a group message from my cousin about a surprise family reunion held at the old farm. I wasn't invited, not directly, but it was the first family gathering in years, and something told me I had to try. I wanted to believe that time had changed. Things, that maybe they'd miss their daughter more than they hated the idea of who she was. I stood on the porch now, holding my breath. "Dad," I whispered. He turned to go back inside. I didn't follow him. I sat on the swing Mom used to sit on when she shelled peas in the summer. I didn't cry. Not yet. The sun began to dip behind the trees. I heard laughter inside, kids chasing each other, old country music playing from the kitchen radio. I should have left. But then the door creaked, again. A girl, maybe 11 or 12, peeked out. Freckles, braces, and an oversized t-shirt with a cartoon dinosaur. She blinked at me. "Are you Ellie?" she asked. I froze. "Yeah," I said quietly. "I'm Lily, your cousin. I heard about you." She looked down at her sneakers. "I think you're really brave." My throat tightened. "Thanks." She shuffled forward, sat beside me on the swing. "You know, when I told my parents I liked girls, they freaked out. Not like your dad did, but enough to make me feel weird." I didn't know what to say. I just reached out and took her hand. It was small, soft, shaking. "You're not weird," I said. "You're exactly who you're supposed to be." She smiled at me like I'd handed her the moon. Later that evening, as the air cooled and cicadas sang their sleepy chorus, one by one, other family members came out. An uncle nodded solemnly, handed me a soda. My aunt brought out a plate of food, silent but kind. No one said much, but their presence was louder than words. Even Mom appeared in the doorway. She didn't step out, but she looked at me for a long time, her hand clutching the edge of the doorframe like it was holding her up. "I saw you on TV," she finally said. "The community clinic. That shelter you started." I nodded. "It's been growing. We help trans kids mostly." She hesitated. "You always were the one who made stray animals a bed on the porch." That was all she said, but it was something. When I stood to leave, Lily hugged me tight. "Will I see you again?" she asked. "If you want to." She nodded fiercely. As I walked to my car, headlights off, I heard the door open one last time. Dad stood there, silhouetted by the light. For a second, I thought he might call out. He didn't. But he didn't close the door either. 3 months later, we opened a new shelter branch in the next town over. Bigger, brighter. I gave a talk at the grand opening, my voice trembling as I spoke about family, rejection, and the way healing doesn't always come from those you expect. But sometimes it begins anyway. Afterward, someone left a note in my coat pocket. It was written in Dad's shaky handwriting. "I saw the girl on the porch. I saw your kindness. I'm sorry I didn't know how to be your father, but I think I'm learning now if you'll let me." Epilogue forgiveness is a strange and slow thing. It doesn't come all at once. It comes in letters and late-night phone calls and shared silences. It comes when your dad shows up to your clinic with a box of tools, asking if you need help fixing a broken door. It comes when your mom mails you a pie with a note that says, "It's apple, just like you liked when you were little." It comes when your younger cousin writes you a school paper titled "The Bravest Person I Know." It comes when you finally believe deep in your bones that being true to yourself wasn't the reason they left, but the reason you survived. And now, sitting in the clinic's sunlit garden watching kids like Lily laugh and live without fear, I know this. Love doesn't always arrive on time. But when it does, in the form of a child's hug or a father's trembling apology, it's worth the wait.